We will be talking about business intelligence and design, scaling up management and finance. And as the title suggests, this panel discussion will deliberate on how to run a design company, but successfully. Okay, so we're going to start off with the leaders for the show. Let's call in architect Ravindra Kumar, the principal of Pragrup, Bengaluru. Can we have architect Ravindra on stage with us? Architect Ravindra Kumar serves as a principal architect and the co-founder of Pragrup, an architectural design studio and consultancy based in Bengaluru, India, with an impressive career spanning over 3 decades. Mr. Kumar, we're waiting for you. Great, all set. Sir is all set. Next leader we'd like to call on stage is interior designer Ravish Mehra, the partner of Ravish Mehra, Deepak, Kalra, Delhi, with an experience of over 35 years. Mr. Ravish Mehra is a distinguished architect and a driving force behind Ravish Mehra Deepak Kalra, a dynamic design studio based in New Delhi. Next leader we'd like to call on stage is architect Bobby Mukherji, the principal Bobby Mukherji and Associates Mumbai, who founded the 30-year-old architectural and interior design firm. He's based in Mumbai as well as Delhi, and he's completed projects from across the globe worth 5 billion, by the way, USD. Okay, I'm sure I'm reading that correct. Yes. Thank you so much. We would have to sit down for that amount. Our next leader we'd like to call on stage is architect Anshul Chodha, the principal. Chodha, principal architect and founder of Sanctuary Architects and Designers, Bengaluru, and alumni of MIT Manipal. Wow. Architect Anshul founded Sanctuary Architects and Designers in Bangalore in the August of 2003 with the primary offering of architecture and spatial design in diverse sectors. What a pleasure to have you with us, Mr. Anshul. And of course, the gentleman with the toughest task, we'd like to call on stage architect Brijesh, Shaijal, the co-founder of Design Ashram based in Calicut. He's the co-founder of Design Ashram, which deals with a wide variety of projects ranging from heritage conservation and adaptive reuse of urban design, places a strong emphasis on public projects. Okay, I think this segment is as technical of leaders that we can get. We eagerly await your knowledge and years of experience. So gentlemen, stage is all yours. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Vaideshya, Vatika, Kamal, for this wonderful session to have something we normally don't discuss. That's business intelligence in architecture or design. Most of us never consider this profession as a business. Maybe we all will be happy after designing our projects. Maybe we get some awards or, some appreciation. We are happy about it. Hardly we count the money what we get or whether there is a system which we can implement or, but things are going, everything is going well, that's fine. Because maybe we are not trained to be as a businessman or a business, how to run a business, we are not trained. We are more creative people, but we are forced to do business and sometimes go that up and down streams. Then few are winning the games and few are losing the games, and fear will get into that ladder again and go on. So at this point, maybe we need to really look back after the post-COVID situation, we realized, okay, where we lack and what we need to think and all that. So maybe I would like to take this discussions more on that, whether are we doing the right business or the way we need to be. And on a personal note, when after doing a couple of years practice, and then I realized I need to look more in the business side. I worked more on the finance side and building a system. And I'm happy on that. But after a point, I realized I'm losing my design part of it, So how you balance this design and the business of it. So I would like to start with Bobby. where we all look up to you, like the way you kind of reach to a kind of a new segment of architecture. And I don't know whether it can be called as a corporate one, or like, or a uh, larger practice, or, however. But you are doing so well in this profession. Maybe I would like this to be connected more to the younger and who's struggling. Maybe we don't want to say more about people who are really successful, but our words can be helpful for those people who are really looking forward how to take this industry to next level. So more on how you developed your, how you started and how you reached here. What will be your message?
I started really young. I think I started the firm at the age of, I think, 20. I was already in, I think, finished my second year in architecture, and that's when I started. And I wasn't very academically inclined, but I looked for projects at a very early age, starting with small projects in my neighborhood, from someone's toilet to a kitchen to a bedroom. And one thing led to another, and it expanded substantially. So by the time I was in 5th grade, I had a pretty established firm, and my principal and my dean was pretty helpful in terms of allowing me to do the internship in my own firm. So, um, but but even then, we are still a small firm with some 7, 8 designers only, and mainly interior design more than architecture at that time. Um, but then later on, as we started expanding, I realized that that I am where I am is also because I learned from my mistakes. I come from a Bengali artistic background. My parents went to theater and literature and stuff with zero exposure to the business side of things. So I learned it the hard way, in the sense that I stumbled many times, and and as we started growing, I also realized that with the kind of clients we have in India, we designers have to be very careful, because a large part of the so-called successful people, who we call patrons. In olden times, our patrons used to be kings, maharajas. Now it might be a new novarish, businessman. Now we cannot not do without them. And many of them, they have reached this position not through the most ethical ways of doing work. And many of them have gone into big trouble. Initially, when we take up the projects, we get enamored by the scale and size and what's to be built, but we do not look very deep into, the background of this particular client that we have been so enamored by. And then after 2 or 3 years later, when he's done that big scam and he's gone to jail, then that's when the rest of the system comes knocking on your door looking for evidence and stuff. And our place has got ransacked numerous times because we did work for high-profile clientele, some businessmen, some from the political side. There's some political rivalry, and whoever comes on whichever side of the fence, calls the shots, and then they land up getting into trouble, and along with their trouble, we get dragged in. So somewhere down the line, you have to insulate, because as you grow and you get successful, sooner or later, such people will become part of your clientele. And you have to learn how to insulate yourself from these kind of situations. You cannot not say no to such clients, because we need them for our survival. At the same time, times are different. The new kings are of a different nature. So, and in terms of setting up your practice, initially, I was growing very organically, but one thing good happened to me was that in one of the big competitions that I was bidding at an early stage, and also a little time I spent in New York, and my competing partners were based out of Los Angeles, a very large old firm. And me working with them as an associate, as a partner, I was exposed to a large setup. And the professionalism that I learned from these firms was unparalleled. My college did not teach remotely anything close to this kind of knowledge. Our professional practice, whatever we study in architecture is quite redundant for our ways of doing work. Getting in good ethics, getting good organized setups, getting in how to monitor all the projects being done by various designers in your firm, how to keep a control of that, how to extract money from your client once the job is done, because we get so carried away with our design, our designer side of us, that we completely forget the business aspect of that. So a large part of the designers, you will learn it from your mistakes, but learning from our mistakes, you could learn something. And so one very important thing is, right after you pass off, do not look just for money. Try and work in a proper design firm that's known to execute good quality work and who has a large practice to observe how their company is running. You might not get the biggest work in that firm, but you can observe what's going on. And with that, you will learn a lot. A lot of the kids I see nowadays, they are so enamored by getting quick bucks right in the beginning. They'll end up joining some kitchen company or a contracting company, and they lose out on a very, very important aspect in this profession. You can do that later on. You can become a project manager later. But initially, do learn an all-round experience from a large firm.
Yeah. So, Bobby, as you mean to say, before starting up your own practice, you need to have a fair amount of experience and then move on.
Colleges just don't teach much. The quality of our education in our country is appalling right now. It's fallen down really, really low. There are thousands of colleges all over. There are not enough teachers. They're not even paid well. So the quality of the teachers is not, they're not the right people to give you the education.
Yeah.
So please learn from after you've passed off.
Yeah. Nowadays we can see lots of young practices. They start without any, professional engagement with any other senior architects or like that. But they are doing their own trial and error method and move on. So don't we need to sit down and make a consolidated how an ideal architectural practice to be, or how this can be moved. Moving to Ravi, I would like to add to this how young practice, along with there is lots of practices here in India, but we hardly find some good women, principal architects who are taking up their firm into next level. There are lots of challenges. Maybe there is discussion happened, but considering this on an aspects of a business also. So, do you have any message for the women architects, since you are sitting in Rivade too? Yeah.
I think, when you look at architecture as a practice, it includes in itself a kind of a method to organize your program. You have to structure a program. It's not one person, it's not a one, idea kind of a space, because it includes construction team, it includes consultants, it includes a whole gamut of team. When I was building, for example, the Wipro campus in Bangalore, which is 5.5 million square feet. It's 55 square feet, one shot. When I used to go to the site, I used to be very humbled to see 4,000 people working at the site. Even during COVID period, they used to stay there and they used to continue to work, and it was a man force and a woman force of 4,000 people. And, there has to be a structured method to this kind of madness. So it's inevitable that a practice has to evolve itself to understand their method of making this work as a business space. Yes, in a way it is not like other business operations where you're dealing with money or you're a financial kind of an organization, or the gamut of such a space is very, very different. That's why even when an artist comes to a certain phase, he needs a manager. He needs a programmatic kind of a platform where he can communicate and deal with the rest of the space that wants him to do what he wants to do. So we as a practice, we are almost in 2 spaces, sitting in 4 cities. We are 250 people. So when I look at that, and it's impossible if you don't figure out a program to manage this. There are schools in India, like Avani, for example, is doing very well. The Vadier School of Architecture in Mysore is doing very well, and they are introducing lectures and curriculums where they are introduced to the idea of practice. They are expected to go work in a practice for 1 year. You can't get it immediately in that little space of time. It's impossible. It takes a whole program of a year, many years of being associated, getting hands-on kind of an experience to understand. You have to include chartered accountants, you have to include finance managers, you need to include business administration people, somebody who's an architect who wants to do business administration, who is willing to, put things together. Even today, for example, I was just talking to someone and they said there's somebody else who's managing their Insta page also. It doesn't make me also seem to understand that. This is a lady architect who is from Bahrain. And she was talking to me today when I was returning back from the flight. So it was intriguing to understand how professionalism has creeped into making this whole work space look better. But it does not mean that it has to be seen as a business. That's the problem. I think we suddenly relate it to a parallelogram to some other kind of a workspace, such as a marketing office or a managerial office or a finance management office or a real estate office. It's got nothing to do with that kind of a method. So we have to evolve a different kind of a program to understand how we work without losing the creative impetus of what you want to do. I head design. So for me, how much ever I don't want to go make a pitch, sometimes somebody will say, Ravi, why don't you go and talk about those 4 projects? And when you talk, I know the project's going to happen. So you end up doing that kind of a pitch, just talking about, it's like going to a jury and saying, I built the Nirlon campus in Bombay and this is how I went about doing it. So you have to sometimes present an idea. And in our practice, what happens is it's just not about architecture and interiors, it's about homes and residences. It's also about real estate, very large real estate. For example, the recent one which we finished is 33 acres of real estate with 5 FSI, and it has the largest basement in the whole of south of India. It's 25 acres of basement. So you can imagine if you have to build some structures of such scale and idea, you have to have a programmatic method to run into your practice. Sequences, you have to create, ESOPs so that the way you release drawings and information and your creative ideas are transferred to site completely, and how to hold back that. So it's a program, I think, more than understanding it as a business of making architecture.
So what I understand is not an individual's thing. It's more of a collaborative, and in the future it will be more inclusive of each one's talent. We need to consider, and we need to assign jobs to those people who will be good at it. I would like to look at our practice in a different way. Let's say, since it's a creative field, we look for a parallel industry, maybe a movie industry, where one project means people are coming together and they are doing that project and they are disappearing. And the other project, some other bunch of people are gathering and then they are finishing that project and moving on. Is there any possibility of something like that, where we can work like movie or something creative field apart from architecture? Of course, this is more built part is there, but there is also a built part in terms of making it. So with all 40 years of plus experience, Ravish ji can maybe look into a different angle where we can work in can we have a different thought to this practices? Just a triggering thing.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I have been working in this field since 80s. So we have gone through a very diverse experience. also the work format. I may sound like somebody from the past history. When we worked with drawing boards, we got the first AutoCAD system in our office sometime in, I think, late 80s. So there were much fewer projects, but there were also fewer people to work also. So the opportunities came, and one opportunity led to another. We also found a certain niche which was practically missing and absent. You mentioned about equating it to the movie business. Yes, to some extent, or to, I would say to a large extent, this area of work is very similar to movies. So you have a hit movie and you'll get more roles. I don't want to scare anyone, the younger generation, but yes, if you have a hit project, or if you have a successful project, more will follow. But at the same time, like a musician, you keep trying. A musician goes on practicing for hours and hours. You know what they call riyaz. So design, to a very large extent, is something like riyaz. You may not practice it. If you have seen a sitar player or a guitar player or a tabla player, they start practicing sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had the opportunity to listen to some of the very famous Hindustani classical musicians. And they said that we wake up at about 4 o'clock in the morning to practice. And they continue to practice even after years of years being in the field. Well, my dear friends, we are in the same boat. Trust me, if you get a design or a design solution first time around, I think there's something seriously wrong. It doesn't look possible. So we will junk it, probably try it again and again and again, till we feel that, okay, we have arrived there. So the same thing applies to the practice. There is no destination. This is a process and this is a journey which will go on forever. I'm still experiencing it. The best part about this journey, that the view is different from every window. Thankfully, we happen to be in a profession that is not boring. It's not monotonous, it's not repetitive. Every project is different, every challenge is different, every client is different. You have different situations, you have different territories, you have different geographical locations, you have different requirements. So, I mean, the life is like an adventure, sir. And friends, and boys and girls, I would say. It's like every day is a new opportunity. So treat it like fun. It's a lifelong vacation. I don't think many people, I feel sad for I don't think there's anyone around, my banker friends. How boring. Go back and sit on the same chair and count the same money again and again and tabulate at the end of the day. There's no tabulation for us. We only have disgruntled clients, yes. We also have unhappy contractors. So you have to play the role of a lawyer, of a counselor, of an arbitrator, and of course, a designer and a construction manager. So I think it's like as diverse as a movie maker, that the same movie character or same person is playing different roles in every movie. So yes, we have diverse roles, every day is different, and I think that's the best part.
Thank you, sir. And so, as you said, it's a journey and it's a continuous struggle too. So, at this point, maybe we are talking about AI and you are talking about social media hypes and stuff like that. So, Anshul, I would like to hear from you. What will be the most sustainable way of looking at the new practices, maybe more sustainable in terms of finance and in terms of the design quality and less struggle? So do you have any kind of equations for that?
Sure. So, firstly, thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure. Uh, I'd like to state that, we are kind of very diametrically opposite in terms of our practice. And I've always gravitated towards smaller projects, never wanted to necessarily be a large practice. There's a certain joy I get in being able to interact one-on-one with my client, and there's a certain joy that I feel when I can control, in a certain sense, every detail that is being presented. So my whole journey has been as to how I can make my practice sustainable by remaining small. And I wouldn't say it's been easy. There were times when we were hand to mouth, and then you start evaluating and thinking whether you're on the right path. But I think as you grow and as you start producing work which is close to your heart and just follow it as a passion, one thing leads to another. So I would still like to find a way to remain small. I don't want to grow the practice more than 10, 15, 20 of us at max. I would like to collaborate with many people, and we've already set in practice things that can allow us to do that. And not just that, I think we're also looking at different revenue streams, because when you have a small practice, the scale of your project is also small, which means that the fees that you command invariably will also be smaller. But what we've also figured is that the smaller the project, the smaller the timeline, you can actually command a much higher per square foot fee than a firm that is working on a few lakh square feet or million square feet. I'm told that we've never done anything more than 50,000 to 1 lakh square feet. But I'm told that most other firms struggle to get more than 30, 40 rupees a square foot for their buildings, whereas we command 10 times that amount of money for a small project, which gets over in a small amount of time, and it allows me to live in a caravanserai where I can decide to be away from office for 15 days if I want to hike in the Himalayas, or if I want to hopefully make money while I'm doing what I want to do in my life. So I built my practice around that now, where I have a revenue stream coming from 3, 4 different verticals, where I could be sitting in Australia or could be sitting in New York, and I send a sketch to my office, and my, the small team that I have can convert it into something buildable, and with a few hours of work, I can manage to follow other pursuits in my life, which is as dear to me as design. Of course, this has happened after 20 years of practice, and I think COVID was a big learning lesson where even a small practice like ours, which had only 10 or 12 people that we had hired, it was still a struggle for us to sustain through that period. That was a big wake-up call for me. But I had already set in motion other revenue streams and other passions that I enjoy. So design, in my mind, can be applied to anything that you're passionate about at the end of the day. It doesn't necessarily have to be the realization of an architectural or an interior project. So during the course of basically the struggles, there are various things that seemingly fell into my lap that others now identified as, man, you worked really hard for that, so don't say that, right? So I had people who were in, for instance, the real estate business, who had amazing tracts of land, who came up to me and said, would you like to partner with us? And I said, okay, you know what, I love land. At the drop of a hat, I run driving hours together if there's a client who says, would you like to come and see this property I have? Not knowing whether I'm going to even back the project. But I still invest that time and energy because I love land. I love seeing different properties and what could be visualized over there, irrespective of whether I build on it. So that kind of translated into something which has become a new revenue stream where, we have large land banks through my partners, and I have a small investment in that, but a reasonable one. So now we have a canvas where I don't necessarily need to depend on clients to design and build as one revenue stream. I decided to sort of, as another vertical, to restart a restaurant, a 50-year-old restaurant that my mom had sort of, decided that it was time for her to leave. And, it was time for us to take it forward, if at all. So we now have 3 restaurants, and now we're trying to integrate design thinking into a restaurant which is now 50 years old and look at it in new ways. And other than that, I have a prefab company which has sold maybe 10 small homes, but it has got us more clients than we ever have had before. So that was a kind of a pivot and a hook that people come and see it and say, wow, we love this product, but you know what? It's too small for us. Can you help us do something else?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that everything that started off as a passion has eventually resulted in a new kind of a revenue stream, which was unexpected at that point of time. It's not like we went for the business. The business came to us because of the passion we put into it. And now the other problem is how to manage it, because I still want to take off for 10, 15 days and have it make money while I sleep.
That's interesting, Anshul. In fact, so it can, the profit what we say, it's not necessary to be very tangible thing. It's can be very intangible, and also can diverse the things from other businesses. At the end of the day, being happy to create happy spaces also is important. Yeah, maybe we were discussing about here, like, it's not about making a big office, or it can have maybe when we start out as a freelancer, then to a boutique practice, then to maybe a corporate or collaborative practices. So there are a number of possibilities. There are other areas also of making business, or like within the architectural. It's not necessary to be as a design firm. There are a number of other possibilities. Even media and other events, and even the build part of it, everything connect to this industry. So since we have very short of, we are running late, so I would like to have a couple of questions from the audience, since there are some eminent speakers here. If there is any questions, we would like to address that.
Any questions? Any questions? Now is the time. We have time for exactly one question.
It's the kids who should be asking
And
us
the
questions.
ma'am with the lovely yellow dress. Yes.
Hello everyone, it has been a great presentation. Here I am. So I just want to ask, like when someone is starting up, what are the things they should keep in mind, like while communicating with the client and getting more clientele? Any of the panelists could?
Yeah. To have more clients, what will be the kind of approach you need to take?
Exactly, right.
Work hard, work really hard, and ensure that whatever one thing you make is so good, that's the only way to generate the goodwill by which clients will come to you.
Okay, I have one more question. Like this is what is the best and one worst piece of advice you ever got in your career? One best and worst.
Where were you hiding these questions? My God. And we took
They
like
just
5 minutes to
came.
convince you. That's a beautiful question, by the way. Yes, sir. Best piece of advice and worst piece of advice.
Yeah.
Best piece of advice, enjoy your work. Treat life like a vacation. This is the only profession in the world that will give you an opportunity to meet different people every day, go on a travel to different destination. Consider that a work tour or a site visit as a holiday. Like I said, every day the view from the window is different. It's like a journey in a train or a plane.
Exactly. Every day is a vacation for an architect. The same question is to Mr. Bobby.
Yes.
Best and worst piece of advice.
Sir, hard work mat boliye. I am looking for a secret
can't
sauce here.
See, best. I mean, there has to be a certain amount of madness, in our profession. If you have to do well, you have to be quite obsessive about it. If you have a unpassionate or a
No love.
way of doing work, without an obsession, it's not going to take you too far. Then starting your own practice and doing amazing things comes only with a certain amount of madness. They might say, work-life balance and all that stuff. Some people do. But I've seen all the ones who've done really good for themselves, they don't have that work-life balance.
Very true, it
There is a bit of compromise in other things. But so, like, I've had lots of ups and downs. I have had a lot of risks also. But I could start very early, get some of the largest projects in the country. For example, Ambi Valley as being the master plan of the whole city.
Right.
I won that at the age of 27.
Right.
I gave 1 year of my life just with that dream, thinking that I will win it. And when I did present it to the management, my work was 500% more in quantum and in terms of design quality also, because I put in so much effort into making it happen. And so, then, God listens to you. I went in with that conviction that God is on my side. He's going to support me till the end. And that gave me the energy. And it has, time and again, that same way of thinking has proved itself to work out into success or into being good at what we do.
Exactly.
And in worst, I don't have an answer for that.
No, that is also an important one. This is though the thing, yes, definitely, that money follows wherever and passion it is. You should not run behind money. That is the ultimate thing I definitely say. But worst advice is also I could get from you.
We can take the worst and how about we maintain the good nature of this forum. Worst advice, we'll take it offline because unfortunately we're really running out of time.
Thank you so much.
It's
Pam.
Thank you
not
so
to
much,
have-
ma'am.
Thank
Can
you.
you a big round of applause for ma'am? The next time the panel need a pitching on a few more questions, we'll definitely get in touch with you.
Yeah.
Fantastic questions, yeah.
We are
Yes,
anyway here, so we can have more interactions off
Sure,
off the
absolutely.
stage.
Yes, I will prepare a questionnaire only.
Done.
Yeah. Thank you. And do you have, Anshul, anything to add on to the discussion? Any of you? Otherwise, we can conclude. Anshul or Ravish?
Any parting
Any
notes to
message
the
or
lovely
anything?
audience?
I'd only like to leave the audience with a thought that eventually the profession that we are in is, if there's no passion in it, there's not going to be any fun in even making the money. So as long as you enjoy what you do, do it. Find what is right for you. Identify what you can dance with every moment of your life. If it's going to be design-centric, so be it. One day the money will come. Be open to new ways of working and be open to know what your heart is telling you. Those are the only few things that I've has led me to this place, and I'm grateful for that. So that's all I can share with you.
Thank you, Anshul.
One advice that I see in the market, right? Do not take this profession if you have not got into engineering or IT or medicine and all that. Do not take this profession. You'll surely, this subject is not just about hard work, it is also about aptitude. A lot of the good architects in this world are good at what they do is because they have that aptitude. And when you have someone, just because he has topped his in Maharashtra we have HSC and whatever, uh, that does not qualify for you to do well. There have been real dullards who've not really done well in the academics in their 12th grade, but got into architecture and then they flourished, because they had it in their blood, in their genetics. So you have to identify that. Do not take up this profession if you are not passionate about it.
Thank you, Bobby. So to conclude, I would like to say this will be a very small practice to discuss about such a big topic. And there should be more interactive section on this particular thing to make our profession much more foolproof, and hope for that kind of platforms arranged by you guys more. And thank you for the wonderful space to discuss on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. A big round of applause for these brilliant gentlemen right in front of you. And we have to say the personalities of our leaders are like north, south, east, west and central. Like this is as contradictory, as complementary as personalities as we can see together. So thank you so much for your time and your efforts and sharing your experience and knowledge with us. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, a big round of applause. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We request Ms. Vartika Dwivedi to kindly come on up, the founder of Wait Asia, the founder of everything that we're doing today. A big round of applause for Ms. Vartika. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time. This is the 8th year of Wait Asia. I mean, the perseverance is on some other level. We request Ms. Dwivedi to present our panelist with a token of our appreciation.